Hey guys, welcome to lesson 18 of our eye project. We've really sort of come almost to the end of this now. So what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be adding the eyelashes, just finishing off by bringing some of the highlights out and adding some of the details. I'm going to be mainly using my 2H pencil and I'm also going to be using a 7B pencil, but I've got my secret weapon in the arsenal, which I'll show you a little bit later on. Once we start getting down to the finishing touches here. But I've continued adding some of the hair in this top right corner. I've added some 7B in there in the darkest areas, and I've been using my Mono Zero eraser just to take some of those fine hairs out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just give this a quick brush over just to try and spread some of that value into some of the lighter areas again, and then I can then take some of the details out. So we've gone for that, and now I'm going to just start to add some of these eyelashes, so making sure that this is in view. Now I've seen a lot of eyelashes, and the thing that we need to try and make sure happens when we are going for realism is we really take note and look at what the reference image is showing us, and I can see lots of different lengths here and lots of crisscrosses. I've seen a few people drawing quite regimented eyelashes, so I'm going to start in this sort of upper lid of the eye, and actually what's happening here is these eyelashes are actually coming forwards towards us, so we don't have this big flick upwards or downwards. So if I start adding, and again I'm using my 7B pencil, I'm going to start going quite lightly to begin with, and I'm just looking for some of those opportunities to add some contrast, which I'll show you in a little while how I'm going to really ramp that contrast up in some certain areas. It's been really great looking at some of your work over on the group, guys. I really appreciate you sharing your work and your advice. It's nice to have a group that is quite supportive, particularly of beginner artists. We were all beginners once. We all started at zero followers on our Instagram, 0 followers on Twitter and things like that, but also 0 skills. So I'm just finding this basic form of where some of these eyelashes are falling, and I'm taking note of if they're coming below the eye line. And we've got some funny structures up here, and again I'll come back to what I've said before in previous videos. Draw what you can see, not what you think is there. Although we know that there are eyelashes there and they are hairs sticking out towards us, don't try and recreate something that's not there. So have a look what's there, look for these odd looking structures and these funny shapes, and we won't go too far wrong. Again, I'm using my tapered stroke. I'm keeping on turning this pencil. Now when we use these very, very soft pencils like this 7B, it's particularly important that you do keep turning the pencil just to maintain that sharp point. Again, I'm not bearing down on the pencil, so I'm not holding it very close to the end. What I am doing is holding it halfway or more towards the end, just so I've still got this free-flowing pencil stroke. And I'm just getting these basic structures in to start with. I'm taking note as how high up this is coming, so they're not sticking out of the very, very bottom of the eyelid. If this is your first time visiting my channel, thank you so much for clicking on that thumbnail. My aim is to really try and teach people everything that I've learned over the last few years in terms of my art journey. I've picked up some good habits and some bad habits, and hopefully I can learn a little bit from you guys as well. We've got a really active Facebook group. It's called Tutorial Tuesdays Beginner to Pro. So if you go and have a look for that over on Facebook, request to join, I'll accept you. What we're looking for on there is we're looking for people to join in with the lessons. These are completely free lessons. I've paid a fortune over the years on online classes and things like that, and I just wanted to give something back. I've had such a fantastic journey with my art. It all started off from watching a few YouTube videos and getting to grips with some of the techniques and surprising myself in certain areas that actually I grasped concepts and understood what was happening and what should be happening, and really enjoyed the journey. So like I say, I've taken online classes and I've looked at various different books and spoken to fantastic artists that I've sort of made friends with online, and I just thought that I'd try and package it all together, and it's actually really enjoyable just drawing along with people. I mean, we've got some brilliant artists in the group, and they're joining in with the lessons and posting their fantastic work online as well, and that's awesome as well. It's really nice to sort of build this community and draw together. I know we don't always have as much time as we'd like, and I'd love to be doing this full time and just plough the videos out and really have a good go at getting as many different drawings done with you guys, but obviously time constraints and having to work other jobs and families gets in the way. But I am really enjoying what we're doing and seeing some of you not only learn new skills, but there's been quite a few of you on the group that have said that recently you've started drawing again, and you know, you've maybe had a few years out. It's really nice that you're starting to get your passion back for these things. So I'm just going to give this a bit of a brush. So I'm just sort of building some base layers up to begin with. And I can see I need to go much darker in some of these areas. So I'm sort of looking up here, and we've got some very dark values up there. I'm noticing that these eyelashes are starting to come down below the eyelid, protruding over the actual eyeball itself in certain areas. And we've got some lovely wispy eyelashes that are starting to fan out. We've even got one sort of coming way out, almost over to the eyeline, the hairline there. So now I'm starting to build a little bit of a sort of a hairline, as it were. I'm going to bring out my secret weapon. Now this is a black pencil crayon. This is a black pencil. It's made by Faber-Castell. It's a polychromos. You can buy these individually. They cost about £1.50. So they're not the cheapest, but these are fantastic for drawing hairs. They really hold the point, and it's something that I'm going to just start to bring out some of the definition. I might go into the pupil with a little bit of it as well, because one of the things that I've said over all of the videos that we've been doing is contrast is one of the most important things. So taking my polychromos, I'm now just going to start trying to pull out some of these individual hairs now that I've got sort of a base, and that beautiful contrast now, it's starting to now separate from the 7B pencil, which you think is quite a dark pencil, particularly if you're just starting with a 7B pencil on a white page. But I can really now start to really add some of those finer details with some of these hairs, and this is what I've been talking about. There'll be a lot of artists and a lot of the art teachers that I've sort of done online classes with and whatnot would be turning in their grave if they saw me doing this, because there's a lot of fine artists that don't like to use mixed media, so they don't really like to, you know, mix charcoal with pencil or graphite or, you know, things like that. But I love just experimenting with things. So And you can see straight away now this contrast that I'm starting to develop with some of these eyelashes is exactly what we would be looking for. So just taking note of where these eyelashes start and the general direction. And what you'll find is as the eyelashes come towards the outer edges, they fan out towards the right this side, and they will fan out towards the left on that side there. And this really is a lesson in patience. It's building the layers up. Even though we can see individual hairs here, what we're doing is we're still working in clumps like we were in these areas. And the beauty with these Faber-Castell polychromos is you can then go over with an eraser and you can start to erase. You can certainly use some graphite in there again as well. So again, I think the most important aspect of the techniques that I'm trying to draw you is layerings are very important, whether that be drawing hair or skin, textures, clothing. Layering's important. Those first few layers, you're going to be pulling your hair out and thinking this doesn't look good, this isn't right. But as you start to build the layers up, like we are doing in this area, I might even add some of this, and you can see how lovely this coloured pencil's going into some of these areas. So just adding some of those darker strands of hair. And because I've got a nice base of graphite under there, this lays beautifully. Now I don't want to go overboard with it. I just want some of those very subtle areas. Again, I'm turning the pencil over. These are by far and away the best coloured pencils for doing fine details. Now I've also got some Prismacolor pencils. They're much waxier. So if I was going for a skin tone or drawing somebody's skin, I would certainly use the Prismacolors, because I can get a much more realistic look with the skin. When you use coloured pencils, we use a technique called burnishing, which is we really do press on extremely hard to sort of mix the waxes together of the different coloured pencils, and it gives us almost an oil painting look to it, I guess. There's a few other techniques that you can use by using alcohol to break the wax down and leave the pigment there. So I'm going to come in with the 7B pencil again now and just start to get some of these shadowed areas that we can sort of see coming up into this area. So again, I'm drawing what I'm seeing. I'm not making things up. I think a few of you have started following me over on Instagram. Leave me a quick message, let me know that you're from the group, and I'll follow you back. It's at artistic N1K, so it's the same as the YouTube channel. I really like to see some of your work on there, or if it's not an art page that you've got some of your images and photos, it's fab to connect with people. So go and check that out. That's at artistic N1K. Just leave me a message, DM me and say hi, it's such and such from the group, and I'll follow back. I get lots of random requests from people that I don't really know, so I don't always tend to follow back. But if you let me know you're from the group, then I certainly will do. So just giving that a bit of a brush. Now we can see in here that we have got some areas that are highlighted even in the darkest areas, so I'm going to bring a few of those stranded eyelashes out, and even though I've got layers of some of the coloured pencil in there, I can still remove the not only the coloured pencil but some of the 7B and whatever else is layered under there as well, just to give me a slightly more realistic look to the piece. So even very dark hair is going to have highlighted areas. So I'm going to just start working a few of these bottom lid eyelashes now. Now what you find is there's generally less hairs on the lower lid, particularly as it comes around into the face there, than the upper lid. So the upper lid is going to look much denser. And I'm looking for those opportunities for realism, so I'm looking for where they cross over. Taking my time. Some much longer hairs here, and the tapered stroke is really important, so that the end of the stroke is thinner than the middle, the start and the end. It just gives the look of something natural. Getting the general direction. Got some very fine hairs in this inner corner of the eye, almost where the tear glands are, the tear duct. It's been really quite an enjoyable project. I've really enjoyed this. It's been great seeing some of your attempts at it. I'm really excited to see where some of you are going to go with your art. I'm going to bring a few out now with the darker pencil now, the black. Just highlighting a few of them. And then looking for a few of those opportunities to bring some of the highlights out. So we've got some very blonde hairs in there as well. And again, I keep reiterating, contrast is everything. So building that contrast up. Taking a little bit of the shine on the iris out. Now I can see we've got some great opportunities in there to bring some eyelashes in. The reflections of the eyelashes coming down as the light's hitting it. And again, I will add some of the black coloured pencil in there as well. Just to bring some depth into it. So let me just take a few now. Just bring a few of the darkest areas out with the coloured pencil as well. A few of these striations. Darken this area under there up. Under the initial eye. The initial eye, what am I talking about? Under the top eyelid. Possibly a little bit around the edge of the iris, just to add some depth. And you can now see that we are starting to really get a fantastic representation of this shine. And this is going to be the focal point really. So I'm going to try and darken as much of the areas up as I can around the eye, because that's just going to bring the contrast out of the shine. It's going to make the eye look realistic. It's going to make it look wet or reflective. And having a black colour pencil is vital, I think, for if we're going for realism. You can't go dark enough with just pencils. That's why some of the work that people do with charcoal looks slightly more realistic. Ultimately, a pencil is a grey. You know, you go all the way up to a 7 or an 8B, and it's not really black. It's a grey. Now, if you're looking for something that looks realistic, if you're looking at an old black and white photograph, or here, there is black in this. This is black. This is black here. These eyelashes are black. So again, you're never going to get a true representation if you haven't got the right values in there. So the blacks, where the blacks are. But leave this till the end. I do see a lot of people going in and using the black straight away. Maybe for the pupil you could do that. But I wouldn't advise it in other areas, because I might have gone in with the black in this crease here and actually felt that that might be too dark now. I might have a hint of the black pencil crayon in this area here. But if I'd have just gone in straight away and drawn in black there, it then means that I have to bring everything else up to that value that maybe I don't need to. So this sort of finishing touch with this black pencil crayon, I think is definitely best left at the end. Again, I'm going to give that another little brush. Going to come in again with my 7B. Because I think if I look at the reference, we've got some much more shadowed areas than I've got on my drawing at the moment. We've got much darker areas here with all kinds of shapes, obviously from the shadows being made by the eyelashes. I love those little white hairs that we've taken out there. It does just add a sense of realism to the drawing. These eyelash reflections have made a big difference in the corner of the eye. I'm going to take a few lighter strands out in those. Yeah, that's done the job. Maybe. And this is my favourite part of the drawing. It's really now just seeing where we can take value out. So this in particular is an area of the drawing here on this eyeball that I've been very, very conscious of, that this is going to give us that very realistic looking render to it. We've got some lighter areas in there, and that is what's going to create this sense of we're not just looking at a drawing. We have to double take sometimes, and maybe we can convince the viewer to believe that what they're looking at is a photograph, which is an amazing thing to have in your repertoire. So we've got a few of these opportunities up here just to so I'm going to start taking out again some of these highlights, which we've already done on numerous occasions, but with every sort of new layer of graphite that we put on in certain areas, every time we brush, we just start to dull those down. So again, it gives us another chance to add a layer of skin texture in certain places. We've got a lot over here, a lot of these very fine hairs. Going into the darker area. These very, very fine hairs. I was asking my wife if she thought this was a girl or a boy, and she obviously said a girl. I think it's a girl as well, but we could have a boy with longer hair. I think the big giveaway is probably these very fine hairs around the cheekbone here. I'm not entirely sure that you would have that on certainly on an adult male. You might have it on a young boy, but I think these finer hairs are the giveaway. Just following the basic pattern of hairs, and that's something that you'll notice if you look at hairs and skin. They have patterns in them and swirls, and that again is just another opportunity for you to be able to create something that's more realistic. Got a highlighted area in there. I'm just dotting around. Now, it's at this stage now where you could spend another 3 hours doing this. which I'm not going to do because sometimes less is more. But you could absolutely, pick out every pore and every hair and spend a lot of time on this. But my aim with these videos is to not make them so long that you're not watching them and you're getting bored of them, but long enough so that I give you a real good understanding of the processes that I'm going through and using, and how these techniques are forming and layering up over one another, so that you can then go out and, if you want to go and spend another 3 hours on this, perfecting it, fantastic. Go ahead and do that. I'd love to see somebody that spent 40 hours on something like this, because it would look absolutely amazing. I'm keen to move on to the next project. So just taking out a little bit of value in this eye here. Maybe a final brush or two, just to dampen down some of those highlights so that we're not left with completely white areas. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, I'm quite happy with that. Like I say, we can always mess and bring another strand of hair out here and highlight a hair there. But overall, I've really enjoyed this, and I've enjoyed seeing the progress that some of you have made. We've really tried to drill down into some of the details in this iris, which has been fun. You've found one of my secret weapons, which is the coloured pencil. If you're in the UK, I really would recommend a website called, I think it's Cult Pens. You can get all kinds of markers and pencils and things like that, but that's where I got these polychromos from. And I've actually got a white as well that I use quite a lot in my marker work. So you can get them. Like I say, they were rather cheap, £1.50 or something each. If not, you can have a look on Amazon. Is there a code on there? So this one's called Schwartz Black. Let me see if I can get that in frame so you can see it. So it's a Schwartz Black 9201, and that's a polychromos. Let's see, there we go, and that is made by Faber-Castell. So like I say, for doing very fine hair work, and I actually got the tip from somebody that does a lot of animal portraits, and they recommended these as a pencil for getting into the very fine details and corners. So I'm just adding a little bit of contrast in this darkest area here, and I probably will spend another 35-40 minutes doing this, just bringing out certain points. But thanks so much for joining me on this series of lessons. I'm looking forward to the next project, where we're going to be doing the half face of the young lady, where she's got some lovely blonde hair coming down the side of the right hand side. So I guess it's almost a similar version of this, but it's going to be a panned out look of this. So we're going to be really thinking more about the hair and the details on the hair. Again, the blonde hair, looking at drawing blonde hair, which is something that we had a go at here. And I'll be looking forward to seeing your progress on that. Don't forget, if you've got any questions or anything you want to ask me, or share with us, join us on the Facebook group. That's Tutorial Tuesdays Beginner to Pro. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, guys, and if you hit the notifications icon, which is the bell icon at the top, it's top right hand corner, I think, underneath the subscriptions, or to the right of the subscriptions button, then you get a notification when a new video does get released, so you don't miss any of those. You can stick it in your saved box. I really do appreciate your comments, likes and shares. It really does help with my channel and pushing the content out to new people and people that are wanting to learn. You know, like I say, it's my aim to share as much with you as I possibly can. So if you share the video, like the video, share it on Instagram or WhatsApp or Twitter, it really does make a huge difference to me. I think the final thing that we're going to do now is we're going to sign our picture. So I'm going to take my 2B pencil now, and I'm just going to get a very subtle signature in this bottom right corner there. And then the last thing would be to fix this with a fixative spray. But that's our eye project. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a pleasure. I'll see you guys in the next video, and don't forget to make yourself known on the group, comment, share, like, everything that you all have been doing, and keep the group the way that it is, which is very, very constructive. And I've enjoyed this project, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks very much. Hit subscribe, smack the notifications button, follow me on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter.